This is what 50 Cent was talking about. After all the people from all the years, they couldn't wait any longer to get the justice. They knew that the end days ran out and that it was their time to come forward and speak about this like P. Diddy, who couldn't run from or hide from any of the stuff that was coming out about him, man. This is why 50 Cent spoke to all the victims. The feds got Diddy. The videotapes were released showing everything that was happening in the P. Diddy's house. We need justice for Tupac. Therefore, he made sure he would obtain it for everyone who has been impacted by Diddy and everything from the bad boys. Kim Porter, Heavy D. Everyone who has been impacted, please leave a comment, write the 222S, press the like button, and subscribe to the channel right now if you're enjoying any of them. It's like P. Diddy is under fire right now. The feds aren't messing around. They're coming to save everyone. They knew what was happening at the parties. They knew what Cassie was talking about. And they knew that all of P. Diddy's ex-girlfriends might wind up testifying against her. Because he knows for a fact that he's not really in good standing with any of his baby mom, his former ex-girlfriends, or other people that he's been in relationships with, because all of them ended up turning out to be bad men. He needs people to actually speak on his character and everything like that. At the end of the day, you can't trust anybody, which is why nobody is cool with P. Diddy anymore, as they realize that in the end, he was just exploiting him and snatching people away to climb the social ladder. Tupac was trying to warn a lot of people to be careful when handling and dealing with these kinds of people, and Diddy was actually changed by a lot of the things he said he would never be. The celebrities and their whole lifestyle of having to stay on the straight and narrow path. Man, this is ultimately what Mike Tyson's Sugeknight was attempting to convey to everyone. They knew Diddy was up to something behind closed doors, which is why there was so much dirt on Diddy. And he forced him to sign an exclusive non-disclosure agreement, NDA, stating that they couldn't discuss anything that happened in his mansions, parties, studio sessions, and everything else. Many artists and celebrities attended these sessions, but as soon as they entered the rooms, they realized Diddy was up to no good, which is why many of them were afraid to confront him because they felt he had too much power and control, and that, given his connections with bad boys, they were afraid of losing their jobs. He was doing Shay John was doing all of the things with Saka. They believed he would become a billionaire, so they didn't want to challenge that belief because they believed they would lose all of their money and wealth, and that he would keep all of the real masters and such. For this reason, Mace and the other Bad Boys members were able to meet P. Diddy was eager to sign as many individuals as possible because he wanted to retain all of the songs, library, and other things that he had amassed over the years. But he'll keep the money and all that, which is why many people had to double-check and cross-check when they looked at all the paperwork. Gandil was attempting to tell people that he overheard a lot of the difficult conversations in the back room, saying that since you all signed this, P. Diddy gets 100% of it, man. And that's why he's giving away all of the actual paperwork from a couple of months ago. If you were paying attention, he was returning Ma's, like Masters back. 50C is coming to buy everything that P did lose right now. He's buying like the drink company. He's buying everything that he had inside all of those very high-end stores inside the Uchnian. This is because they aren't even making any money anymore after he did all those deals and put them on the radios, the jukeboxes, and all of that. He took all the bread from it, never gave it back. Dillard's, Nordstrom, and Marcus Macy's retailers, such as Nordstrom and Macy's, have removed Shay John and P. Diddy from their whole lineup assortment, substituting them with Gunit merchandise and 50 Cent products. Due to the fact that 50 Cent simply replaced P. Diddy as the next in line to have everything in all the stores and such, he claims he is going to buy back all of P. D's belongings and that he will go back alone and return a large sum of money to the people in need of justice. This includes many individuals who were unable to win their cases and had to go through numerous hoops in order to receive payment. Instead, they had to start over. Man, over the course of a few years, roughly 27 or 30 years, many individuals and families have been impacted by the small things and actions of Pi. Many of the accusations and stories we are currently hearing stem from the early 1990s, the late 1990s, around the time of Tupac, just after Biggie got hit, in the early 2010s, when he was with Glow and everyone like that. This is why Jennifer Lopez left so quickly. She was actually paying attention to her team. but she noticed that PDiddy was acting extremely strangely and weirdly. At the conclusion of the day, she realized that he had some hidden agendas because someone had informed her about what was actually going on and that she was well aware of the TR. Jlo saw a lot of stuff that she isn't really allowed to talk about because they have an agreement saying they won't reveal anything about it. However, if the feds show up and ask Jlo to go on the stand and discuss anything about Cassie, Biggie, PSC, or what she knew about Keefe, and who is constantly calling P. Diddy, she will be forced to comply. He didn't want Gan Deal to overhear the chats, so he tried to tell him to leave the room. However, Gan Deal heard much too much, which is why Diddy wants to get rid of him, and they both have problems. The conflict between Diddy and his security guards stems from the question of whether or not these guards were aware of everything that was happening. Since this is New York, many people were shocked to learn about this stuff, but Gan Deal kept hearing it over and over again. At first, he was protecting P. Diddy, so he said, "Man, I'm in security. I would have known. If Cassie's actions had continued, I would have been aware of Tupac and his significant situation." However, when Gene Deal began to piece things together, he discovered that Diddy may have been involved in setting up Tupac to be hit up. He began to recall numerous instances of million-dollar phone calls in which he told Von Zip and Keefe he would send them a $1 million check, making it appear as though a record label was opening up, but in reality, that was the $1 million he was supposed to pay to acquire Tupac. This is something that only my superiors and other people have ever tried. Hit up. This was paid for. And that's why the feds are working so hard. They know for a fact that they gave P. Diddy plenty of time to try to flee, which is why he left the country and tried to sneak out, much like Russell Simmons did. He's currently in London, where they're essentially keeping a close eye on him because they know exactly where he is and everything about him, but they're going to strike once they have all the evidence, which is why they initially pursued him for the Cassie allegations and are now pursuing him for the Tupac incidents. The Biggie is coming, and all of these incidents are just karma coming to pass. Since Diddy was wrong about a lot of those things, he was also wrong about them, which is why all of these stories in karma are coming out. This is essentially Diddy's downfall because of how everything he did built up over time, and now it overflowed, making him too avaricious, too money-hungry, envious, jealous, and capable of anything. Diddy wanted to be king of New York, but he couldn't have that title because Biggie was the king of New York. In 50 sentences attempting to convey to everyone that, if you are true lovers of both Biggie Smalls and Tupac, we need to send our condolences and seek justice for both of them. I want you to subscribe to the video and leave positive comments about Tupac and Biggie. After all, justice will eventually be served for them all, dude. Tupac was meant to be the millionaire behemoth, and Behemoth was meant to be the New York king. The thing that P. Diddy was most afraid of from this whole East Coast, West Coast thing was that he thought that eventually Tupac and Biggie would get together and squash the East Coast, West Coast beef. Now that 50 Cent is left to clean up the whole mess, it is because he comes from the New York era and he knows that he has to make sure people understand that Biggie Smalls was supposed to be the king of New York and that Tupac was supposed to be the real person who was supposed to have the bread like P. Diddy did when he went to that award show and Sugeknight called P. Diddy out for being all in the music videos, dancing, and everything. Like the producer is supposed to sit back and basically manage the situation and make sure that the money's coming in the executive producer and everything like that. They now supposed to be all in the attention in front of the camera more than the actual guy who's rapping and everything. And then they would turn on P. Diddy and say, "You caused this problem, you caused this mess, you kept telling dude to diss me in these songs, you kept pushing this whole thing." Therefore, Diddy was afraid that Biggie and Tupac would team together to get him removed and turn the public against Diddy. And for that reason, Diddy must have decided to go ahead and arrange Tupac's initial meeting for the $1 million, because he knew that Tupac was in fact with Sujay and Sugan them. They belonged to a certain kind of group, and everything like that. Many of the people who were hanging out with Knight were members of a particular category of whatever it was that they represented. At that point, Diddy connected with Keefe and realized that Keefe and them shouldn't mess with Sugeknight because they're two different kinds of people. They are two different kinds of friend groups, which is why you don't mix crowds like that. Diddy, on the other hand, knew that Keefe was in Los Angeles and that Tupac was either riding around or something in that entire West Coast area because, well, Tupac was essentially the guy who was saying the West Coast stuff, and Biggie was saying the East Coast stuff. This is what they did in an attempt to push the East and West Coast and try to divide everyone by getting everyone to choose tack side. They deceived everyone by first attempting to get a certain set of individuals to take a larger side, and then they attempted to persuade them to simply go at it like in real life, on the streets, and everywhere else, because everyone in the community knows that if we had come together as a group, along with Tupac, they could have accomplished much more than anything that Diddy ever could have, because they wanted the best for the people. Instead of doing what was best for the people, Diddy wanted to keep all the benefits he received, including gifts, fame, and gold. Sugeknight is looking at it as though he knows exactly what happened that night with Tupac. The witnesses have been speaking out. The footage is there, and he didn't care about whatever the community was going through, how this was affecting regular people in the hoods, or anything like that. Tupac would have known exactly what to do with Biggie to make sure that everything came together, that they were given back to the community, and that the East Coast West Coast thing is understood, that they squashed it. Investigators have been working on this case for 27 years, and once they determined that Keefe had provided enough information to be charged, they knew that in order for him to get out of this situation, receive less time, or even have the case dropped, he would have to reveal who sent the $1 million, which is why he had already written about it in the book and had mentioned it in interviews. After all, the feds had all the information they needed to solve the Tupac case. And now that it's almost over, everything that was done in secret from Tupac to Biggie RP to Kim Porter is finally going to be revealed. We are beginning to see all that he did. Initially, many people were blaming each other, blaming sugeknight, and blaming this, believing there was another way it could have happened. But in the end, people are beginning to see after Keefe said what he said, and we knew for a fact that Keefe and Diddy were close friends the entire time. This is what led them to attempt to set up Biggie after Pass was hit, which was like the year after, and then the Cassie situation occurs like right after that. Basically, in between Biggie and the Cassie situation, that's when Kim Porter happened, Jennifer Lopez happened. And then when Pac got hit up, did he think that his plan worked and that he would be able to get away with it? After Heavy D, like the Gan deal left and all of things, the Cassie problem occurred. Biggie Smalls, the rest of the above men, and Tupac should have been left alone. If you guys are supporting them, go ahead and like this video, subscribe, and I'll catch you all soon. And then after the Cassie situation, this is where all the allegations come through the lawsuits. Now they are taking Python down. The feds are raiding, and everything is going down right now. Basically, this is all due to the fact that the karma from the situation